They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Dead Dare, a horror podcast.
Brought to you by Big Baby Studios.
Hello and welcome to the Dead Air podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris. I'm the horror obsessed one for those of you that kind of follow the podcast. But today's episode is going to be quite a different one because I'm missing two of my co-hosts. Aaron and Miguel are unfortunately not able to make it today, but no fear because we've got two other members of the Dead Air family who have stepped up to the plate. We've got our producer, Antoinette. He's also the host of the horror podcast. It's actually not a horror podcast.
The horror podcast?
The creepy podcast Grimcast, where they talk about real life hauntings. And we also have Ramon, who is co-host of the very popular pop culture podcast Enslate. So welcome, Antoinette and Ramon. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, hey, what's up? I thought I was going to be playing Ramon. I thought I was going to be playing Miguel. So I was like,
I thought I was going to play Miguel.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'll be Miguel, okay?
Wait, am I not playing Miguel? I'm confused.
Yeah, you've got more experience. It's fine.
Okay, so that other voice that you guys heard is the reason why we're here. So again, today, like I said, today's a very, very special day for Dead Air. Our guest today, she's a multi-hyphenate. She's an actress. She's a director. She's a writer. She's also a stunt performer. You can check her out in Renfield, which is currently out in theaters today. It's a horror comedy. Obviously, it's a horror comedy starring Nicholas Hoult and Nicolas Cage. It's out right now. She's been on the amazing Disney Marvel show WandaVision, and she's also given a TED Talk on the production of her short film Bumblebees. But she is most popular and most well-loved in the horror community for her role as Tara in the breakout 2016 Splatterfest film Terrifier. So please welcome Jenna Kanell.
Thank you so much. What a thorough, well-researched intro. I appreciate that.
Told you we were fans.
You weren't kidding. I'm honored. Thank you so much.
No, we are honored.
And as my cat has arrived.
She is right there.
Hi.
She is in my lap.
So Jenna, thank you again for coming on. This is quite an honor for us. We're big fans of Terrifier, obviously, and through Terrifier we got to see a lot of your other work, especially Antoinette over here, who we subjected to Terrifier for the first time, and I think it's kind of traumatized her. So yeah. So
I am so sorry.
No,
you might be entitled to financial compensation for your trauma.
it was an experience. We'll get into that in a bit. I have questions.
I hope we have answers. We will see.
Okay, so Jenna, what we usually do is we ask our guests, one of our favorite things is to ask our guests this question. What is your horror origin story? So for those of you who are not familiar with that, the horror origin story is whatever got you into horror in the first place. It could be a scary book. It could be a scary movie that you saw when you were way too young. Whatever that is. Jenna, for you, what was that?
For me, it was, so when I was much younger, I have endometriosis. And so my periods were always a nightmare. And so I would always be in so much pain that I would have to stay home from school for a couple of days every month. And my parents both always worked full time. So it was just, you're on your own. Here's where the, Advil is. And I would watch whatever was on TV because I was just on the couch because I was in so much pain. And very often it was horror movies that I was absolutely too young to be watching. And I found that, and I still find this, but I still find that this is true for my depression and anxiety. And I think that this is true for a lot of people. But sometimes when you're in pain, whether it's physical or mental, I find watching a horror movie displaces those feelings. And suddenly I'm not feeling my own pain. I'm worried about is she going to get out of this house? Are they going to get away from the murderer? It allows you to displace whatever you're dealing with. in a thrilling but safe way. And so that was my gateway drug, and I've been messed up ever since.
That's awesome. I always say that the horror got me through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really did. So I went from being a horror fan to a horror obsessive over the pandemic. That's really how I feel like it tuned everything out for me.
There's something really cathartic about it, and there's something about how when we watch movies, our mirror neurons fire off, and we're feeling what the characters are feeling, and we're in danger, but it's in a safe way, similar to a roller coaster or something like that. Like we're experiencing danger, but in a way that we at the same time know is safe, and I think there's something really therapeutic about that.
This makes so much sense. I wasn't aware that I was walking into a therapy session, but this is like the first time I'm hearing this concept, which is so great. It super explains why I still keep doing my podcast as like a giant scaredy cat. And like I still keep having people tell me scary stories.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that is clicking for you. I'm like, your face is
a breakthrough.
Antoinette just realized her own podcast has been her own form of therapy.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said that you saw a lot of films when you were way too young. Do you remember any of those horror films? Which ones stand out?
I feel like I definitely saw The Ring much younger than I should have. I definitely, do you remember that movie? I don't even know if it was a very good movie because I haven't seen it since then. But I have a vivid memory of lying on the couch and watching Dark Water, that like Jennifer Connelly one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Walter Salles.
The remake. Yeah, that's
the remake. Yeah, exactly. Because it's a remake of a Japanese movie.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? Yeah. I mean,
from the same director.
Same with The Ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, remake of Ringu, which is so much scarier and would have messed me up even more. I mean, my favorite one from back in the day is John Carpenter's The Thing. That's like one of my favorite horror movies, period.
That's my all-time favorite horror film.
It's so good. There's nothing like it.
Mm-hmm. Super cool. So you already mentioned two Asian horror films, or at least like a remake of Asian. Have you seen any? Are you familiar with any of the any other Asian horror? I know it's that's a difficult question, of course.
No. I mean, there's so much iconic Asian horror. One of my favorites that I watched early in the pandemic was I want to say it's Korean, Gonjiam, Haunted Asylum.
Oh, Haunted Asylum. Yeah, that's a good one.
Is that Korean? Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Gonjiam.
Yeah, that was like, because I had seen Grave Encounters, which isn't a remake, but is kind of in the same, feels inspired by it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It threw me through.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it was excellent.
Very nice.
I remember talking with, when I was on, I'm so sorry to cut you off.
No, please continue.
I was just going to say, I remember talking with, when I was working on The Bye Bye Man, I was talking with one of the producers with Intrepid Pictures. And I remember they were talking about distribution, and it was fascinating because they were talking about how different types of horror that are popular in different Asian communities, how like Japanese horror is very like creature based, and there's like a supernatural element, but that sort of stuff doesn't fly. Like if you're selling to China, like it was all very, very interesting.
Ooh. Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. Why is in China, out of curiosity?
I remember it was, I'm trying to remember what he said. I can't remember. I remember being like, what'd you say?
Communism.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Horror movies about capitalism, aka America. The horror movie that we live just being here. It's super fun.
Not in America, but can relate.
Yeah. Capitalism's touched everybody in some way. I can't remember what he said, but it was fascinating, like the different types of like subgenres, because I think a lot of people outside the horror community don't realize how many subgenres of horror there are.
So talking about genres of horror, what's your favorite?
My favorite subgenre?
Yeah.
That's tough.
That is very tough.
I don't really, I don't know that I would pick just one, but what are you, my cat is trying to bury her food. That's what that sound is. But the floor is wood, so that's not going to go well for her. I mean, there's a lot of body horror that's really well done. There's psychological horror when it's done well. I know that it's now been kind of done to death, excuse the pun, but when found footage is like Gonjiam and like Grave Encounters, I mean, the original Blair Witch is another one that I saw as a kid that I should not have seen as a kid. When found footage is done well, it's
That's excellent.
really good. Yeah. So I think it's there aren't really any subgenres that I'm opposed to. I think it's just when they're done well, you know, and when it's not just a gimmick.
Yeah. So I'm kind of leading. I have a flow that I'm leading into. So
I'm here for it.
Yeah. So from older genres, how about most recent ones? Anything has stood out for you recently?
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite contemporary ones would be It Follows. I absolutely love It Follows. I think they do an excellent job of building tension without jump scares, which I don't love. And it's very like just the color and the music and the sound and everything is so cohesive. That's one of my favorite ones. The Witch, I loved.
Oh, I love The Witch.
The Witch was great. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, really, really good. Oh man, I usually have like a list that I reference because I feel like I've seen so many. But can I pull it up? Is that cheating?
Yeah.
Yes, please. I'm so curious.
And because, you know, there's so much good, especially now. Oh my gosh. Okay. The Platform, the Spanish movie.
Oh yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
That thing messed me up. I've not been okay. Speaking of capitalism, that was
exactly.
Oh my God. That was great. Let me see. Oh, I mean, I guess this is kind of horror, kind of sci-fi, but Alien, that's an older one though, but I meant that one earlier. Martyrs was made recently.
Talking about movies that fucked me up. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Martyrs fucked me sideways. I could never watch it again, but it was so good.
Never again.
Once was more than enough. Yeah, the French Martyrs. Raw, which I think was also French.
Beautiful.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
I mean, the Babadook, obviously.
Yes.
Shout out to Australia. So good. Get Out, I really loved. I really like Jordan Peele. I'm really excited to see what else he does in his career. You know, it's a long list. Stop me anytime.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you actually are a horror fan.
Of course,
man. These titles that you're throwing out, these aren't like, you know, you're doing the deep cuts when you're talking about Martyrs and you know, Grave Encounters, and so I that's so cool.
Thank you. So no, I mean, yeah.
Now that those are your recent films, this is my quick segue. Now that we're in the in the talking about recent films, your recent film is out right now, which is Renfield. Renfield, very smooth, right? Yeah, it's a comedy horror film directed and produced by Chris McKay. This is what's really cool. I don't know if you know this, Ramon. Oh, of course you know this, Ramon. It's based on a story by the Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman, who also served as producer. Of course, Ramon would know that.
Well, I only found out when I saw the credits. I didn't know going in. I was just curious because it was, if I'm not mistaken, the second live action feature from Chris McKay. Because I remember he was the director of the Lego Batman movie.
Which is one of the best Batman movies, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. It's up there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's why it's too bad they didn't get to making a sequel because I think they got the character really well.
But, I think they are making a sequel.
Oh, for Lego Batman? Oh, that's great.
Yeah, according to IMDb. So hopefully that happens.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. Yeah, and and he did Tomorrow War for Prime Video, and then now Renfield with Skybound. And could you talk us through like the process of getting that gig?
Sure. Yeah. I originally auditioned for a role that actually got cut from the film. And I think I must have auditioned for Renfield something like 6 times, like a bunch of times. Which is just sometimes how it goes. And then I auditioned for the role of Carol I end up playing in the movie was originally written as a male character, and they changed it when they cast me, which I think is really fun. And I auditioned for this other role, and then I auditioned for the male version of Carol, I think twice, and then I had 2 callbacks over Zoom with Chris McKay. And when they had all of us audition, they sometimes will specify, send 2 takes. And so I sent 1 take that was very much what was on the page. And then in the second take, I think I just went balls to the wall, and I just it was improvising and saying all sorts of crazy shit and just having a lot of fun. And so then when I got to the callback with Chris McKay, he's amazing. He's so much fun to work with, and he creates a really lovely environment and a really safe environment to play. And it was very encouraging of improv, both in the callback and also on set. And so some of the lines that are in the film are improv, which was cool to see. Oh, my cat's back.
Yeah.
I must say, the role of Carol, it was so funny. Your recurring bit of always getting interrupted, it cracked me up so much. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's some of the biggest laughs, I think, in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, that's so wonderful to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, so Ryan Ridley wrote the script, and he was also on set, and he was great too about bouncing stuff off of each other and trying different lines and doing different takes of different things and throwing out ideas, and it was a really, really good team.
Right.
It looked like a really fun shoot too, especially that the support group.
Oh yeah,
the personalities. Yeah.
And you're working with Brandon Scott Jones, who's also got a good improv background. So must have been nice to really,
He's so funny. He's hilarious, and he's such a sweetheart. And that whole group was full of just really talented folks, and it was a blast. And then obviously you have Nick Holt and Nick Cage, who are both unbelievably talented. And it's so much fun to watch them work because it's just a master class, the way that they work. And Nick Holt is a really generous actor. He's always very present, and he'll be there even when he's not on camera to read opposite you, which is very rare for someone that big. And he's just very sweet and genuine and authentic. Yeah. And then Nick Cage, it's wild to watch him work because he tries something different every time.
Really?
Yeah, every time it's something completely different. I'm really excited to see when they release the Blu-ray of the deleted scenes and stuff, because there's a shot that didn't make it into the final film when Nick Cage first comes into the support group, and I'm standing right there next to him, and we must have shot 15 different versions of him smelling me. So there are versions where he takes a bunch of little tiny sniffs like a dog. There are versions where he takes one big giant sniff. There are versions where he gets really close to my face and then barks at me. It was just chaos. It's wild to watch him work. He just goes for it, and he's so fearless. It's very fun to watch.
Oh, it must have been so intimidating. Yeah.
Oh yeah. He was very intimidating.
How was it? What was the vibe on the set whenever you guys were together?
Yeah, I mean, he's very nice. So it's not the intimidation comes from just having, seen his work and really respecting him for a long time. Sure. But everyone was really everybody on the set was lovely to work with, and it was just a really good, solid vibe. I mean, the first time I met him was at the table read, and they sat me next to him. So I'm immediately shitting myself because I'm here we go. And a friend of mine, Keith Brooks, who's hilarious in the movie, he plays one of the ska guys at the beginning who just gets messed up.
Yeah.
He was talking to me about, I don't know how he knew this. He just knows everything about everybody. It's amazing. And he was asking me about, because I've taught the cat in my lap, I've taught her to do tricks. And he was asking about that. He was like, oh, yeah, I've heard your cat can do tricks. What can she do? And I said, she can high five, and she can spin a little circle and jump in the air. And I didn't even realize that Nick Cage was listening. But all of a sudden I heard someone go, oh, well, that's really impressive.
that was a good expression.
Interaction with him. Thank you so much.
Yeah, day one, you impressed him already.
Day one. Yeah. I was like, I can just die now. That's enough. That's all I need from this life.
What I'm like really curious about is so you have the big budget. Well, big budget Renfield, but you came from the indie slasher Terrifier. What was the big difference making that transition? Of course, you did the Bye Bye Man in between, but it's still like night and day.
Yeah. Well, I feel very fortunate in that I've been able to continue to go back and forth. The beginning of my career was all indies, but in more recent years, I'm very grateful to, go from an indie project to a big budget project back to an indie. So funnily enough, Terrifier, I wrapped on Terrifier and then 24 hours later started on the Bye Bye Man. So Terrifier, yeah, which was a very strange experience because Terrifier was maybe what, 70K, 100K a budget. Bye Bye Man was maybe something under 10 million, somewhere in that range. And then Renfield is like 65 million. And it's interesting to watch. And I feel like I learn a lot, especially from a performance standpoint, but also from a directing standpoint about different ways that things are done when you have an army of people and everyone is very, very specialized versus when you have just a small, tight team of everyone doing everything. And sure. And I love both. There are definitely pros and cons to both. On an indie film, you have a lot less freedom in that you have less time, fewer resources. But at the same time, you generally have more creative freedom because there isn't as much oversight and there aren't as many cooks in the kitchen. So it's, both have their pros. And I do think that they need each other, but they're definitely different experiences.
Well, jumping from that now, how about when you're actually behind the camera? How does that work for you? Because you have quite an extensive resume behind the camera as well. Which do you prefer?
Thanks. I love it all. I like jumping around. I really don't want to have to choose. I want to be one of those people that continues to not choose what side of the camera I want to be on for a really long time. I think that the more I do either one, it makes me better at the other. I think the more I direct, I think it makes me a better actor. The more I act, I think it makes me a better director because I'm paying attention to how I'm being directed by different people and what works, what doesn't, what are helpful notes. I really love both. And it really depends on the project. There are some where I really just love the character and I want to be able to focus on what their world is. And then there are some projects where I want to be in control of the vision and I want to, be kind of the leading voice on the perspective from the story that's being told. So it just depends. And I just finished a project where for the first time I did both at the same time, a short film.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which was because I've done a lot on either side, but this is my first time doing both at the same time. It's an action comedy short film that I'm excited for you guys to see. That'll be a lot of fun.
Is this Faceless After Dark or no?
No. Again, you're so well researched. It's amazing. It's a short film called Spray Bottle that we're still in post production on. Faceless After Dark, I did write and star in, but I didn't direct that one. Yeah.
Any word on that?
On Faceless,
for those of you who don't know, why I know this is because it's kind of a meta film. So obviously, Terrifier is a clown chasing a woman, and this film, Faces After Dark, is about an actress who starred in a movie where a clown chases a helpless.
It's very
woman.
Very meta.
It's super meta. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, and it's about an actor who gets stalked by someone who's a fan of a clown movie that she's in. Yeah, and then I just dropped something. Sorry, I don't want to give too much away, but it's a lot of fun, and it definitely ends up having a twist that I don't think most people will be expecting. I know that they're still on they're still in post-production on that one. I'm hoping that comes out later this year or early next year, because I really think that people will get a kick out of that. And we did get Damien Leone, who's the director of Terrifier. We got his blessing, so don't worry, because we do poke at Terrifier in the movie, and it's fun. And I think a lot of people who like Terrifier will enjoy it, because even though it's a very different type of film, it's more of like a thriller, almost a dark comedy. But I think that a lot of people will enjoy it because there are a lot of like nods to Terrifier and the world that surround it in real life. So I hope people like it.
It's a really interesting premise. I saw the teaser, and I'm really excited to see it. Can't wait to see that.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to hear that it's coming out soon.
The actress who plays Dawn is in it as well. Is she the lead?
No, she has a little cameo in it.
Oh, okay.
My friend Katie, Catherine Corcoran. Yeah, no, we had to. We even filmed some stuff at a convention that we were doing together. We like guerrilla style filmed the two of us at a convention.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And fit it in. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So she makes a cameo in it. There are a couple other like, I'm glad you guys are excited. I'll tell the director to hurry up because people are waiting.
Yes.
That's great, because I did a little Google and I'm like, hey, it's Dawn.
Yeah. She and I are still very close.
That's all. Well, since we've already started, let's jump into Terrifier if that's cool.
Well, let's segue.
Oh wait, can I ask something about Spray Bottle though?
Please, Ron, go ahead.
Just because you mentioned that it was the first time that you're directing and acting in the same thing as opposed to being on one side. So how was that transition, and what does Jenna, the director, think of Jenna, the actress?
Oh, she's on. I hate working with her. She's awful. We'll never hire her. No, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, but it was very challenging. It was the sort of thing that I had purposefully put off for a long time, because I've acted in a number of indie films where the director was also the lead actor, and one of those experiences was really good, but a couple of them were not as enjoyable. And so I was always afraid of doing that myself. And in hindsight, I realized that it's because a lot of people will go and try to do both before they've done a whole lot of either one. So like, I will say that, before I did that, I wouldn't recommend to anybody that they just start doing that. I mean, I had, like you pointed out, I had been directing and acting for years. And I also used to assistant direct for years. And so I know how schedules are made and how they're maintained and kept. And I've done some producing. And so I definitely felt like I had an idea of the whole picture of how, the train and how to organize it. And it just required a way more pre-production than I ordinarily do, just to make sure that, and lots of communication, and obviously hiring a team that you really trust. And I wouldn't have been able to do it at all without the people that I surrounded myself with, who I was able to trust when I needed to put on one hat or the other. But I originally was pushed to do it by Jason Reitman, who is one of our executive producers on Spray Bottle, who made Juno and the new Ghostbusters and a lot of other very incredible projects. I worked with him on a movie called The Front Runner, which is a political drama starring
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, exactly. So that came out a number of years ago, and he and I have kept in touch, and we met at Tribeca when I was there for another film. And he was the one who said, you have all of this stunt experience and all of this action acting experience. I think you should use that and write something for yourself. And I expressed to him, but I've been purposefully trying not to do both at the same time. And he said, cool, get over it. I said, yes.
Nice.
And the story for Spray Bottle, was it something you had in your pocket for a while or something more fresh?
It was the sort of thing where I had it in my pocket, but I didn't realize it was there. You know what I mean? Where, and they say, and I don't know if any of you also are writers. I'm sure that you all seem very creative. So I'm sure you do have other outlets. Oh, I see someone raising their fingers.
Both of them are.
Oh, both of you're pointing at that.
No, I dabble. Ramon is the writer.
Cool.
He's written a few
I'm a dabbler
films here. Yeah.
That's all. We all dabble. Dabbling is the gateway drug.
Yeah.
So originally I was just thinking about when he pushed me to specifically write an action film, I started thinking of, I watched a ton of action movies. and there are so many of them, and there are a lot of great ones, and there are a lot of just horrible ones. And I was trying to see what doesn't exist in the genre. That's kind of what I'll try to do sometimes with ideas of what do I feel like when I'm watching these movies is missing. I didn't really see, there aren't a lot of action movies that, there are now a lot that do star women, but typically they're very sexualized. They're always, avenging a rapist or avenging a lover or saving their child, and their whole character is just being a mother. And so I was thinking about, what situation would I be thrown into that would make me want to kick ass? That's pretty much was the prompt in my mind.
Nice.
And my little brother, who, as you mentioned, the first film I ever directed was called Bumblebees, and he's the lead in that. And that's the film that I did a TEDx talk about, which is really about his story. And he's autistic and has a total of 8 neurological disorders, and he's come a really, really long way. But which you can hear more about his story in that talk. But eventually, I'm going to be his guardian, and I have a lot of fears about wanting to be enough and wanting to make sure I can really take care of him because I love him very much, but also take care of myself, which some days is harder than others. And I was thinking about what circumstance would I be in with the two of us. And so it's a fictionalized version of that, where I've already become his caregiver. And in the movie, we don't get along as well as we do in real life, because you got to have an arc, you got to have somewhere to go. And my character is more of a mess than I am in real life, I'd like to think. And I don't want to give too much away, but it's about our worst day together.
Yeah, can we find it anywhere online?
We're not done with it yet, so I hope not.
No, I think he means eventually.
Oh, eventually, of course. Yeah. We're in post-production right now. We are just about to start sound design, and I'm really hoping that it will be in festivals next year.
Nice.
So hopefully, along with Faceless After Dark, we're trying. I try to have lots of irons in the fire, so we'll hopefully have lots for you to see soon.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome. You've got a lot on your plate coming up.
I know.
Yes. I did want to mention earlier, because we were talking about action stuff and about Renfield before we moved on. I wanted to mention that also on the Blu-ray, whenever that comes out in the deleted scenes, I did do stunts in Renfield, and they did not make this cut, but hopefully they'll be in a deleted scene, because they were a lot of fun. And Chris Brewster, the stunt coordinator, was made all the action just a blast. So.
Nice.
Were your stunts on this film related to how you were killed on screen? I only say that. Yeah, I only say that because I'm going to lead into my next question, which is
yes.
So Terrifier, The Bye Bye Man, and Renfield. You get viciously murdered in all 3.
There has to be.
Is this on your resume? Is great at getting killed? Is that something that you put on your resume? Or?
Move aside, Sean Bean.
Oh my gosh, to be in the same category as Sean Bean, the dream. Yeah, I don't know why I always die. I don't. There's something about me that people just want.
I hope that's not a spoiler for Faceless After Dark.
It is not.
No, very nice.
Which I guess is.
It's not a spoiler.
Yeah.
To be determined.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You want to see Jenna live.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. No, I don't know why it happens so often.
Well, it doesn't count in Renfield because you come back to life. Spoiler.
Right. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alerts abound. Yeah. I know. And my mom got all excited when I was in Frontrunner, the Hugh Jackman, the Jason Reitman political movie, because I played a real life person named Ginny Terzano, and she is still alive. So my mom was very excited. She has not seen Terrifier.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
She's not allowed.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't want to subject your mom to Terrifier. Well, since we're there, and again, for the listeners, again, sorry, spoilers will be everywhere. here because one of the most unique things I feel about Terrifier is it subverts the final girl trope, because when we see you and your character, immediately your mind is like, final girl, that's the one, and it doesn't happen, and it's in such a shocking way too. So that was such a, I think, for me, that really kind of woke me up. And I was like, oh wow, this movie is something different. Like, this isn't, this is something different. And I think, how did you feel coming into that, getting that part, and just the whole experience of Tara?
Yeah, I mean, I love her. I love that she's a badass. I love that she doesn't give up. I love that she doesn't let her friends drive drunk. Very important. And I think there's something to be said for the fact that she was about to beat him, and the only reason
he cheated.
He cheats. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said
something to be said about the fact. Yeah, exactly. That he has to cheat in order to one up her.
Yeah, he suddenly drew the gun because he was losing. Yeah.
Which was, well, now that Ramon brought up Game of Thrones, and I wanted to say actually that this kind of reminded me of this experience that I had with Game of Thrones, where after Sean Bean dies, you feel super frustrated and you're like, well, I'm not going to invest in this movie, in anyone in this movie anymore. And that's exactly how I felt after your character died. Because I'm like,
thank you.
I'm not going to invest in anyone anymore. Anyone's fair game.
Yeah.
Everyone's fair game.
Yeah, it keeps you on your feet. Yeah, it's exactly like you were saying. It's suddenly, it wakes you up because suddenly you realize that anything could happen, that the rules are out the window.
Yeah, and particularly the gun scene. So I'd watched it the day that we were going to talk to you. So I was like very like brewing with questions and concerns. And so the gun scene, I laughed so loud. I saw it with my husband, PV, and he's actually seen it 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He's a big fan.
So he was actually watching me watch it. So when Art the Clown pulled out the gun, I was like, you had the gun this whole time and you had to go through all of that with everyone else. What's going on?
Because he cheated.
Yeah, it's almost like the whole time it's just a game. This is my interpretation. These are not, signed off on. But to me, it feels like the whole time Art is playing this game and he's having a good time as long as he's in control and he's making everyone else feel uncomfortable. And he's, loves the look on people's faces when he's fucking with them. And then the moment he's not winning the game anymore, he's no longer having fun, which I think we all know people like that.
Yeah. So our one of the things in this podcast is we make our scaredy cat friend give us a quick synopsis to prove that he actually watched the film and didn't just repeat. So I'm going to do the same thing to Antoinette. Antoinette,
I knew it.
Can you give us a very quick synopsis of Terrifier?
A very quick synopsis, huh?
Yes. To see if you actually watched it.
Oh, I watched it. I don't know if you remember my texts to you after.
I do remember.
Chris, what's this, Chris?
I do remember.
Okay, so I'm guessing, if I remember correctly, it was Halloween. 2 young ladies are out on the town having a lovely time, heading out to go home. Tara and Dawn. Dawn is a little bit tipsy. Tara very wisely does not allow her to drive drunk. However, they find a clown being all creepy in an alleyway, and Tara very righteously goes, danger, danger. But, Donna's like, hey, sexy clown, what's up? And hijinks ensue. Eventually, they get roped into a building and murder clown goes crazy. Oh, and there's a crazy lady in a basement.
Looking for a baby.
Looking for a baby.
I wish I could hear you sum up every movie. That was fantastic.
Yeah, how would you rate that, Jenna?
That's 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. There you go.
No notes.
The star of Terrifier. No notes.
Very accurate. Very accurate.
I was particularly sad about... Yeah. I was particularly sad about the two guys in the pizzeria because, like, they seem really nice and concerned about, the young ladies, but no. Or, like, screwed up their bathroom, which was amazing how fast he did that, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No one is safe.
No one is safe.
Yeah, so Terrifier, it came on the scene, it just exploded, became a huge cult favorite. It was fun, crowdfunded, and Indiegogo gave us a sequel. Now it's gonna get a third movie, obviously. How was that for you, like as being there at the beginning, and just watching everything kind of just explode? Because I mean, the support, the indie horror support, I'm sure you must be, huge at conventions. I have seen a few photos of you going to conventions. I assume that. So how has that been for you? That whole experience from reading the script to suddenly, people are lining up, to get your autograph because you're now a horror icon, basically.
Thank you. That's very sweet. It's humbling. It means a lot to me because, like we were talking about, horror has been a safe space for me for a long time, and I know that it is that way for a lot of other people too. And I absolutely never thought that this would happen, because I've done so many indie movies, and you never know whether anyone is going to see any of them because it's such a gamble. And this was not the one that I thought was going to be the one that followed me the rest of my life. And, and I remember reading the scripts because so originally Damien, we can't remember how we met, but we somehow got in touch. I auditioned for a different movie of his. So he has the short film he made forever ago. The Terrifier was a short film, as I'm sure you guys know. And then he had a short film called The Ninth Circle. He was trying to make a feature version of The Ninth Circle. So I auditioned for that. And my god-awful audition tape is unfortunately on the Terrifier DVD. There's a piece of it that you can... I'm a much better actor now, I promise. But I read for that, and he reached out and said, you're great. I want to work with you. I know I want to work with you, but that feature is not happening. But this other one is. Would you want to do this? And I read the Terrifier script, and I was like, this is fucked up. Something's wrong with you. Let's do it. And and I can say that because he's in real life, he is a lovely human being. But we filmed it, and it's funny because, and I'm sure that you already know some of this, but we filmed it in 2015. It came out in, I think, like you said, 2016, but no one really saw it. Well, some people saw it. It kind of had a slow burn. It didn't really pop off until it was on Netflix, which I think was, I don't know, maybe 2018 or 2017 or something like that. Right. And then all of a sudden, people were really watching it. And then with the second one, the first one got this whole resurgence, and it popped off even before the second one came out. Just somehow, I don't know why, I don't know what it was about the collective unconscious that like latched onto this, but it was very, very strange. And it's definitely a different experience for us than it was for the people involved in the sequel. Because with the people that were in the sequel, they knew people are going to watch this movie. This is an established franchise. I have fans before I've even made the movie. Whereas with us, we didn't know if anyone was ever going to see this thing. We were just doing it for the love of the game. And, we had no idea what was going to happen. And it's very, very cool to see how meaningful it is to so many people. And that, like we were talking about earlier, that when I do conventions, I didn't fully understand the convention world before I was a part of it. And I had a lot of preconceived notions about it and a lot of assumptions. But then once I did it, I realized that a lot of people, particularly people who feel in one way or another marginalized, find a strong sense of community in horror and at conventions. Yeah. And it's really beautiful. And it's not what I was expecting, but it means a lot to me that so many people are, because the horror community, like you said, is really, really loyal and really supportive.
Really loyal, yeah.
Yeah, and just, balls so hard for the stuff that we love, and it's really, really cool.
That's amazing. What's so funny? Well, no, not funny. I'm trying to connect the dots because you said you auditioned. I didn't know that you auditioned for the Ninth Circle. because that role, am I correct? That role actually became the basis for Terrifier 2.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not sure about that. I didn't audition for the Night Circle short film.
Oh, okay.
I auditioned for the feature, which never got made.
Okay. So, because I'm reading up on it, because I read this the other day, the Ninth Circle, it was based on an angel dressed a woman dressed as an angel, and that basically became the basis for Terrifier 2. So that would have been like really cool if I
had forgotten about that.
That's like almost like full circle kind of thing. Like that's incredible. But anyway.
Very funny. Yeah. I had completely forgotten. Yeah, no, he had already made the short film and I auditioned for the feature version. And then
got it.
But that's not surprising. I'm sure that there is, I'm sure that there are elements he used. You know, because like my original death in Terrifier in the script was different than what ended up in the movie. But but similarly, he said, you know, I'm probably going to use that in some other, like I'm going to hold that and use that in a different movie. So it's,
okay.
You know,
I was about to ask what it was supposed to be.
I asked him if I was allowed to talk about it, and he told me not to because he's probably going to put it in something else. It might maybe it'll be in number 3, and then I'll come back and I'll tell you. Like that was the one.
We'll send you a message. Was it this one?
Yeah. I'll be like, yep.
Jenna, I actually found a tweet of yours. 8 years ago, I met Damien Leone for the first time in a creepy building on an island to make a head cast for the dead version of the Terror character. It's been on brand ever since. And he like retweeted a photo from 8 years ago.
He did?
No, you did, I think.
I did. Yes. Sorry.
Like a building.
He did
with
retweet
arrows.
that though. He did.
Oh, he did. Okay. Of you saying I'm gonna die in this building or something.
Yeah, that was the first time we met in person.
Oh, really? Your death scene was the first? Oh no, making the cast. Oh, okay.
Making the head cast was the first time we met in person, which is a trust exercise. I don't know if you, you guys probably know how that goes, but for anyone listening, it's exactly. Yep. You're doing the symbol for straw
and the nose and stuff.
Yep. So it's like you get your whole head paper macheted and you basically can only breathe out of your mouth, but you can't move your mouth. So your mouth is slowly filling up with your own spit and you're basically waterboarding yourself. You can't see anything. You can barely breathe. It's horrifying. I don't recommend doing it if you're claustrophobic. But that's why, when I get shot, because the first number of gunshots are in fact me, and he did prosthetics on my face and ran tubes underneath them, and then was literally an indie film. Damien's on the other end of the tube, just blowing into it to make blood.
Oh shit!
But for once I'm actually already dead, then that's when the head cast comes in, and that's how it looks so much like me because it's a mold of my every pore.
Nice. Can I ask about like your interest and your involvement? I mean, as a stunt performer, how did that interest come about?
Is stunts in general?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So I've always done, not always, but since childhood, I've done martial arts. My dad put me in Hoshindo, which is a Korean form of martial art when I was a kid. And I mean, I think some of it was so he'd feel better about me leaving the house. I'm sure that some of it was also for my anger issues. But I did that for a long time as a kid. I did a little bit of Taekwondo. And then as an adult and even now, I train in Krav Maga, which is originates in the Middle East. And I didn't realize what stunts were, basically. That someone pointed out, because I thought stunts were, you're on fire and you're jumping out 100 stories out of a building. I didn't realize that stunts were running or holding a weapon or, just taking a hit or falling. And someone pointed out to me, stunts, you're already doing stunts when you train in martial arts. And so basically I just rebranded myself as somebody who did my own stunts because a lot of them tend to be fighting anyway, though sometimes it's wire work or being in the water or things like that. And then I did some stunt specific training. I went to some boot camps and things like that just to learn how to make what I knew work for camera sort of thing.
Nice.
And I've been doing my own stunts ever since. And now I've done all sorts of crazy shit.
Amazing. It's like
Thanks.
writer, director, stunt woman, everything.
Everything.
No wonder you're so busy.
That's why I use the big word multi-hyphenate.
That is a big fancy word.
It's a big fancy word. Yeah. I have I'm very curious about this. How's it working with David?
David Howard Thornton.
David Howard Thornton. Sorry, I have to say all three names.
Yes.
Art the Clown. How does it work? Because I follow him on Instagram, and he seems like he's so like nice and he's, So it's how was it working with him in person? And
yeah, it's funny because people ask me if he's scary. When he's in costume, and when he's in character, it's creepy. But then the moment he starts talking, he's not scary at all because he's such a goofball.
Why? Oh, okay.
Got it.
Yeah, he's really sweet. I'm still close to a lot of the original Terrifier fam. And it's fun to run into them at conventions. Yeah, it's nice to run into them and see those guys.
Actually, it was like pretty apparent, like watching the movie, like while I had some questions on some of the gore. But it was pretty apparent that everybody working on it was really passionate about it. So to your point earlier about how, when you guys were making the first movie, you didn't know if anybody was going to watch it. And it kind of felt like everybody was really into it and like, just like doing their best and everything. And like, while some of the scenes were like insanely gory, especially with your dear friend, Dawn.
Yes. Poor baby.
I was like, yeah. But I'm like, this is actually incredibly well done, aside from the fact she just got sawed in half. So, like the passion, like people, it really seemed like a movie that everyone who was like passionate about it was working on it. So like, I'm really excited about like how you guys are going to like show up in Terrifier 2, actually.
Yeah, well, I don't, as you know, from what happened to me in the first one, but there has been a supernatural element introduced, obviously, and with the end of the first one and the beginning of the second, and a lot of stuff in the second. There's a lot of suddenly like fantasy things and supernatural elements, and so and Damien and I both get a lot of complaints about my death.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, all the time, and which means a lot to me because because we were all like, as an audience, we were so invested in you. That's why. Yeah. No,
that's
means
exactly
a lot.
it. Yeah.
That means a lot. That means that I've done my job. That makes me so happy to hear. And so there's always a chance that at some point, sometime in the franchise, maybe you'll see me again. We'll see.
Oh man, that would be incredible. I'm really hoping.
Speaking of like the acting and doing your job, so like we said, we were like super invested in you, and I was also super annoyed at Dawn. But then I realized like, I guess she's like doing her job really well.
She's a great actress then. If you were like really annoyed.
Yeah, she's very good in real life. She's incredibly intelligent. It's hilarious to me that she gets cast as characters like that because she's very thoughtful and very kind and very, very intelligent in real life.
But yeah, I'm sure like she's super wonderful and like great plus 20 points on the acting on Dawn because I really wanted to strangle her at some point with the selfie. And she was like doing the whole selfie thing. I'm like, girl,
oh my God.
Die.
Oh, in the diner? Oh, that's such a great scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Thank
selfie.
You.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that scene.
That's a great scene.
One of my favorites.
And it leads to such a great callback.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's true. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lest we forget. Yeah.
So obviously you're really well loved in the horror community, but in Renfield it's more of a comedic thing, right?
Yeah.
So how different different do you have to be when you're switching gears? I was very surprised that you had that your role as Carol was actually a funnier one, because I'm used to you in Terrifier and the Bye Bye Man and then like here it was like it was nice. It was really fun watching you show your comedy chops. So how's that?
Me screaming my face off and running away from things. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I love horror, obviously, as we've covered, but I also do love comedy. And I have a ton of improv training, and I used to be in an improv troupe, and comedy is so much fun for me. And so it was a lot of fun to get to kind of marry those worlds. And to answer your question about the approach, I mean, in a lot of ways, the approach is the same regardless of genre, because even though you have to match the tone of the piece, you always want to be grounded and coming from a truthful place. So even if it's comedic, you don't want to be playing the comedy, because then it's not funny, right? You don't want to be like winking and nodding to it. So in a lot of ways, it has to be grounded in reality and believable, regardless of what genre you're working on.
Yeah. Are we going to see more of this in the future?
More of what?
More of either horror or comedy? Or
yeah, I think so. I think so. Definitely, as a matter of fact, you will. Yeah.
Fantastic. Which leads me to my next question. What can you talk about your future projects?
Amazing. So the segues have just been
right. I know.
So professional. What can I talk about? Well, Faceless After Dark. You already know. I'm really excited about that. I can't wait for you to see it. Spray Bottle. Can't wait for you to see it. Oh, it's a baby.
Hi, kitty. By which we mean cat.
Sweet. Oh my gosh. Sweet orange kitty.
Sorry, please continue.
So easily distract. Mine is great.
Hi,
right there.
Oh, make friends.
So comfy.
It's so comfy. She has to be a part of it. So what else? I'm doing 2 features this summer that I don't think I can talk about yet, but one is I'm going to have a small role in a sequel in a big franchise. Not a sequel, but one of the sequels. That's, I guess, action comedy. And then and I'm going to be acting and doing stunts in that, which I'll hopefully be able to talk about soon. And
this is Fast and the Furious.
I wish that's on my list.
It's all about family.
One day, because I do have stunt driving training, and
nice.
I have done some stunt driving. So you tell them where to find me.
Join the family.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's not that one, but that's a good guess. And then there's and that one's a bigger budget thing. And then there's an indie action movie that's just straight action that I'm one of the leads in, that we film at the end of the summer, that I'm very excited about. That one's going to be a ton of fun. Mm-hmm. And I think you guys will enjoy that one. And then I mean, Terrifier is coming back to theaters apparently.
Yes, it is. It is.
The first time. So I could certainly talk about that, because I found out when everyone else found out.
Which was like last week, right? Or like
yeah. I was like, right. Yeah. So I know I say coming back to theaters, but it was never in theaters to begin with. So I'm that'll be fun. I'm really excited about that.
Are you finally going to show your mom?
No.
Yeah.
Never.
No.
Never.
My mom is very Jewish and worries enough as it is. We don't need to give her more things to worry about. she's already, she doesn't need to see that one. But other people will, and I'm excited for people who have never seen it on a big screen to go out and see it there. So that's super exciting. And then I've got more conventions coming up that I'll post about. I'm really, really stoked about those. And more to come. I'm writing other stuff, and so we'll see.
Very excited to hear and see all of that. So
and sorry to interrupt you. Last things. I'm like, I knew I was forgetting something. There's an indie drama, which is very much unlike all of the stuff we've been talking about, called The Wild Man, that came out premiered at a film festival at the end of last year. That's about to screen at another film festival. That one will hopefully be on streaming later this year, I'm hoping. It's very unlike all this other stuff, but it's very like grounded and cute and quirky and touching and sweet. And that one was a lot of fun to make, directed by Riley Cusick. I'm excited about that one. And then there's another indie that I did last year that's like atmospheric horror, I guess, more of a drama called The Build Out. And hopefully that will be out later this year as well. I'm not sure what the plan is, but I got my motorcycle license for that one. So... and it's all in the desert. And it's very, very funky. So hopefully lots of things.
It sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot.
Sounds like a lot.
You're so busy. Go, Jenna.
Thank you. I try. This is all I have.
It's a lot. You have quite a lot. Good for you.
Thank you so much. But yeah, I genuinely love movies.
Yeah, we can tell because you're in front of it. You're behind it. You call yourself a storyteller. I think that's really, really cool. Thank you. We're very excited to see all of your stuff. We're basically wrapping up this episode of Dead Air. It was such an honor to have you on, Jenna.
Wait, again, can I ask a question?
Yeah,
of course you can. Yes.
What's a horror movie out of the Philippines that I should see that I've maybe not seen?
Horror movie out of the Philippines.
Chris, you're more like more equipped to answer this.
To write it down.
I want to say Itim, but it's hard to find.
Itim is the best, but it's so hard to find. It's made in the 70s. It's
the Blu-ray is actually in France, but not here.
What? I've never even heard of this.
It's a beautiful, beautiful film.
Itim?
Itim. Yeah. Mike De Leon's Itim. It's my favorite Filipino horror film for sure. Most recently, Kisap Mata, of course. Yeah, very nice. Recently, what's a good recent one, Ramon?
I do love Young Gao.
Young Gao is incredible.
That's kind of a cult.
If you know what, Jenna, we're gonna talk amongst ourselves. I'll send you links to everything that's available online.
Please.
Yes.
I'm trying to write them down. I'm almost positive that I misspelled all of them. So yes.
I'm typing them out for you because I figured the spelling might be.
I'll find you some with links online. We'll send them to you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
There's a recent.
Yeah. There.
Mm-hmm.
No, I would love that because I feel like a lot of films, particularly from Japan and Korea, make it over here.
Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, and obviously, like we didn't even talk about Parasite earlier. Which is fantastic. But yeah, I feel very uncultured. I would love to see more.
There's a film that is doing the rounds right now in
My Mother's Skin.
Yeah, In My Mother's Skin. It came out this year.
Yeah, that's going to be on Prime later this year.
Yeah, that'll be on Prime. That's making big waves. We have not seen it. We know the director, Ken Dagat, an incredible guy. I have not seen it. I can't wait to see it. It's there's so much buzz about it online. Yeah, so it's coming out on Prime very soon. I'm sure that's gonna be incredible. Yeah,
please send me a list. That would be fantastic.
We will definitely.
Yeah,
there's also Nocebo on Netflix right now.
Oh, Nocebo! Have you heard of that with Eva Green and Mark Strong?
No.
It premiered on Shudder. It's a film with Eva Green and her co-star is a good friend of ours, Chai Fornacier. She's Filipina, incredible actress. Chai is incredible. That's on Shudder right now. You can watch that right now, actually.
Okay, cool, perfect.
Yeah.
There's a fantastic Filipino actor here named Danielle Lin, she's in Spray Bottle and she's also in Faceless After Dark. And I love working with her. We've worked together a number of times.
Nice. Very nice.
Cool. Okay. I wrote all these. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Internet. Let me just screenshot this. I don't know why I'm trying to make my life.
But Chris will probably send you a more exhaustive list shortly.
And we'll send you links that you can just click into. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So again, Jenna, this has been incredible. It's been such an honor to have you on. Huge fan of yours. Cannot wait to see everything that comes out in the future.
Yeah.
Where can anyone?
Thank you
Where
so
can
much.
people find you online?
Sure. Yeah. No. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. You're all lovely. This was wonderful. I really appreciate your understanding about all the scheduling stuff, and thank you for making the time, and thank you for being so prepared and engaged and interesting and interested. And this was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate all of the love. And you can find me on Instagram or Twitter, but I'm really on Instagram more at Squidthusiast. It's SQUIDTHUSIAST. It's someone who's enthusiastic about squids, because that's me.
Really?
I love
Okay,
it.
what's a random
I
interesting
was
fact?
meaning to ask about that.
A random interesting fact.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Give me some squid bits.
Here's a squid bit for you. This is my favorite squid bit. This is my go-to squid bit. There are certain types of squids. This is a great note to end on. It has nothing to do with everything else. There are certain types of squids that have a donut-shaped brain, and their esophagus goes through the brain. So if they eat too much, they get brain damage. From an evolutionary standpoint, makes no sense. And I just love that they're still around for some reason. And I think it's just one of my favorite facts. I love that they're just out here.
That's incredible.
Nice.
That is the perfect way to end.
Yeah.
So,
Right?
Yeah, there's no
The
topping
horror
that.
movie that is the deep ocean.
Yes.
Terrifying.
Okay, so that was our episode of Dead Air this week with Jenna Kanell. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
We'll see
so
next
much.
time.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Brought to you by Big Baby Studios.